I just wanted to say that I think that this decision to both rebrand and rethink our website, and also as we're now proposing to change our name from HEC Global Learning to Global Learning London, reflects, I think, the continuing maturity of the centre and the nature of our work and the reach that we're now getting across areas of London that we hadn't worked with before. That doesn't mean we don't see that our roots and our work within Tower Hamlets is not very central to what we're doing. It is, but it reflects that in many things at the moment, the borders that exist between boroughs and places are very porous, and that people are working across boundaries for a whole range of initiatives. So I think that's really what I wanted to raise about the decision that we've made to change the name of the centre to reflect much more about what we're about, but also continue to recognise our close connections with Tower Hamlets Local Authority and also particularly the school's library service. So I'd like to use this opportunity to thank the school's library service and particularly Jill, who couldn't be with us today, for their continuing support to the centre and to ensure that not only some of the funding we've had, but actually to be there in terms of promoting what we're about. So very many thanks to them. What I'd just like to do is just say a few words about bringing the sort of formal business of the AGM to a close before we move on to the discussions around Beyond Black History Month. I think, as I indicated a few minutes ago, it's been quite a challenging year in many ways for us, not just because since the pandemic, but also because of the changing external climate within which we are working. Some of the options for funding that the centre have had over the years are gradually disappearing. For example, in recent years, the centre's done well with funding from Europe, but of course, most of that will disappear very soon. So we need to be thinking about new ways and new creative ways of developing our work. But what we're also finding is that the demand and interest from teachers, educationalists, and young people in general has never been greater than it is today. I think what's happening in the world around us shows the importance of what we're doing and the continuing need for a centre like Global Learning London. And without the support and the dedication and commitment of Alia, Trini, and all the associates, we wouldn't be in the position we're in today. So I'd like to use this opportunity to thank them for all their contribution, for all their work. Unless there are any people who've got any urgent questions or points to raise, I'd like to use this process just to formally close the annual general meeting. I can't immediately see anything in the chat or questions people have got to raise. So if that's the case, I'd like then to thank everyone for attending the formal business of the AGM, and now pass back to Alia to talk us through the next part of the evening's discussions, where we have a range of inputs related to the themes of the AGM. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. And I've turned my video back on in the hopes that the gods of the internet will be on our side. Thanks to people who are commenting on our website. As we go through, please feel free to be surfing our website and having a look at our new look and our affirmations of why we're here, what we're doing, and why we're doing what we're doing. And very much in line with that is our keynote for today, which is around Black History Month and our renewed call for something we have always felt the need for, which is going beyond Black History Month. So looking at the day when we will no longer need Black History Month, and the idea that we really need to embed Black voices and voices from racialized communities in the curriculum throughout the year, that there isn't just one month where we pour all our attention into that. How can we sustain some of that work? The Black Lives Matter movement is showing us that we really need to look back at our history, honestly, to be telling the truth about what happened, to be more reflective of the contributions of migrant and racialized communities to the cultures that we have today, to where we are today, to celebrating all that we are, but also the importance of this in the sense of understanding where inequality stems from. And when we speak about inequality, we are talking about a complex web of oppressions, whether they be in the form of racism, ableism, class differentials. So really trying to look at the root causes of why we find ourselves where we are today. So without further ado, I would love to introduce, if we can have the next slide, Fatima. Hello, we've got with us Antonia Antrobos-Higgins from Fill in the Blanks. I won't say much more. I'll leave it to Antonia, and over to you, Antonia.
Well, hi everyone. Let me know if the sound quality gets bad and I'll turn my camera off. But so yeah, I'm Antonia and I'm from a student-led campaign called Fill in the Blanks. We're a group of 6 students. We've started the campaign as 6th form students, but now one of us is at university. But essentially, we got together in August 2019. We all were part of this social justice training program, which is part of that you create your own campaign. And we were thinking okay, what are we really passionate about that we feel that needs to be changed essentially. And we were looking at our identities as people that have heritage from former British colonies, and looking at how we've been taught about empire at school, and just the horrendous ways it's been taught, and for a lot of us not being taught it at all essentially. And then alongside that, recognizing how crucial an understanding of empire is to tackling systemic racism, because obviously race in itself is a construct that was created through colonialism and the legitimization of slavery. So the fact that we're not taught this is just, we think it's just astounding. So yeah, we were thinking obviously the curriculum as it is really in dire need of decolonization, and a tangible step to decolonizing the curriculum would be to mandate the teaching of colonial history on the national curriculum, which is what we've set out to do. So essentially, what does decolonizing the curriculum mean? It's quite an ambiguous term. It's used quite a lot now, but essentially how we understand it as campaigners is recognizing that the curriculum in education as it is perpetuates the same ideologies which legitimized the colonial project and were amplified by it. So white supremacy and British exceptionalism. So for example, former Education Secretary Michael Gove, with his education reforms, trying to have this island story, which essentially was an imperialist narrative. And to do that, he took out the explicit focus on diversity in the curriculum, for example, taking out Mary Sequel and Olado Equiano. So again, it's with decolonizing the curriculum, it looks at how does education construct this narrative by what we teach and what we conveniently leave out, how it's taught, and also who teaches it essentially. So for example, British history with no understanding of the contribution and exploitation of Black and brown people, so empire and slavery. So you're probably thinking, okay, so we have this big policy change that we want to implement. How do we go about doing it? So we thought, well, the first step to doing this would be to create a public conversation. So we decided to basically distribute 5,000, no, it's not me sharing the screen, 5,000 Metro and New Standards. And so that's the picture you can see there. So with the headline, Boris backs empire education. So obviously that is not a true headline, but we wanted to basically create sorry, people are shouting outside, but to illustrate what it would be like for this to be actually implemented into policy, and then using side articles, you can see here the sports article, how all these things interconnect into the erasure of empire. So for example, color bleaching, how that is a colonial legacy, racism in football, the British Museum and all the colonial artifacts that make up that amazing museum, which obviously should be ideally returned to their places of origin. So that was in January, and obviously since then our campaign has changed significantly in light of the current climate. So we from off the back of that stunt, we Nick Gibb, the Minister for School Standards, agreed to have a meeting with us. And it's been 7 months since then, and he has still not had that meeting as promised. So, which is kind of, you know, strange, given that like we have a petition with, well, we've been supporting a petition with 200,000+ signatures, and now he doesn't want to have a meeting with us. So going on from that, we're still trying to get this meeting with Nick Gibb, and then alongside that, so we're going to have a little mini campaign, like exposing his like just shirking of responsibility. We're also going to publicly release our new strategy, like our 2.0 campaign, in which we're expanding our campaign significantly, because it is quite difficult being like just 6 students essentially. So we're going to incorporate new people. As well as that, we're building a national coalition. So that's going to include museums, educators, teachers, students, everyone who's interested and fired up on this issue. And yeah, we're not going to stop until this is implemented into the national curriculum. So we're in for the long game, and it's on the horizon. We really believe that.